welcome to this episode of Joy's World, the podcast. I thought that was really good, to be fair. Guys, this episode, I have two very special guests. I have done a takeover on their podcast, and now they are here in my world. Please welcome from Dope Black Women, Leanne and Roshan. Welcome, ladies, to my world.
Hey. What's going on?
Now, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, Roshan is not on camera, and what you're going to do, right, is you're going to deal with it, okay? That's what we're going to do. Tell them, Roshan. Tell them what they're going to do.
Guys, you're going to what? Deal with it, okay? It's just one episode. You won't die. There's a war going on. There's a lot more serious things to focus on, all right? All right.
Thank you.
And it's still going to be a lit episode, all right? Thank you.
100%. Well, I mean, you say it's going to be a lit episode. Leanne and I are drinking wine. Roshan, again, you're not drinking wine. I feel like
you're actually singling me out here, and that is not what I would call supporting your fellow Black woman, okay?
Okay, yeah. Leanne, would you like to call Roshan out on the fact that she's not drinking either?
I have tried several times. Roshan was at my house last weekend, and I quite literally almost tried to force Prosecco down her throat, and she refused. I've given up. I'm just gonna let her be. I just hope that
you won't notice.
She's full of vibes regardless. It won't matter. Like, I need a little bit of wine, a little bit of other stuff to get me going. She is 100% vibes sober all day long.
Wait, Leanne, what's the other stuff? Come on, Leanne.
You know, a little bit of wine, a little bit of weed, a little bit of rum from time to time. Nothing too harsh.
I need a little bit of dick.
Oh,
to be fair,
I have this instead.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I don't smoke weed, but I smoke cigarettes. Who starts smoking cigarettes at 27 years old? Can you tell me to sort my life out?
You know, I started smoking cigarettes when I was like 14.
Okay.
And 14. I quit. Yeah, my mom gave me my first cigarette because she thought it would make me quit. You know, when your mom she's like, "Yeah, go ahead, try it." And
yes, mom.
You expect that your daughter's gonna cough up a lung, and I was like, "No, this is great. This is amazing." And then we smoked together up until I was like in my early 20s, and then I quit.
Wow, your mom sounds lit. Wow. Roshan, do you have any bad habits?
I mean, not in regards to smoking, but I feel like I definitely have bad habits in just life.
Oh, you know what? Actually, we're going to come on to one of your bad habits as well. I've got questions.
One of mine?
Yeah, one of yours, yeah.
No, why is she coming through with receipts, please? Come and ruin my life.
I want to know what Roshan's bad habits are. I feel like I don't know them.
No, Leanne, once I tell you, you're going to be like, oh, yeah. Because even you have questions. I was doing my research, right? But before we get there, I always ask my guests, the first question is always the same. And that is, how are you feeling today? Are you tired? Are you hungry? Woo! Are you horny? How are you feeling? Roshan, let's start with you.
Oh.
I know that you're tired because you told me you just come back from work.
Do you know what? I could have a really negative answer, but what I would say in a really long answer, but I'll make it short, is I'm feeling optimistic. I feel like the last 10 days have probably been, like, not even to be dramatic, one of the hardest period of time of my life ever. But I feel like, you know, when you go through something and then after, like, you're at that period where you're coming out of the end of it, I'm at that stage now, and today's felt a lot lighter. And like, as part of today, for example, I lost my AirPods at work, and I was so chill about it, and everyone was like, how are you so calm? And I'm like, if you know what my last 10 days were like, losing these AirPods don't mean nothing. And I was just like, it's fine, like, whatever happens. And then before I left work, I went to reception and they were found, and I was just like, look, I thought that was a big deal and it wasn't. So I feel like now I'm with you guys and we're talking, and I just feel like even though this conversation's just started, I just know it's going to be a good one, and it's just going to add to like the start of my week. So I would say optimistic, because I feel like my week's only going to get better from now.
Good. No, it's good to feel optimistic. And like you, I've had like a difficult couple of weeks, and it's just to do with like parenting and my daughter and school and things like that. It's just been very difficult, but I'm trying to like not let one bad day turn into two bad days. I feel like I'm trying to just keep myself going, and doing this podcast is one of the things that keeps me going. Leanne, how are you feeling today?
Well, I'm tired enough that I just showed my vibrator on screen, knowing that this was going to be on YouTube. So I think that is an indication of how much brain fog is going. So I am currently working like I have two different jobs, plus Shannon and I have Dope Black Women. So adjusting to that and then moving back from Jamaica has been just very busy. And so I'm consistently just exhausted, but in a very kind of gratifying way. And like Shan said, like everything that I'm doing is something that I wanted to be doing and something that I've been wanting to be doing. So actually now that I'm, when they tell you to prepare yourself for the blessings that you're going to receive, now I'm going through all of the things that I've asked for. So even though it's a lot of work, I'm actually really grateful. And podcasts, jumping on these conversations are always, as Shan said, extremely therapeutic, and they just allow us to like vent and release and like reset ourselves. So yeah.
And I mean, Leanne, I know that I'm buff, yeah, but I didn't know I was that buff to make you want to get your vibrator out already.
But
I mean, I thought you could wait till the end.
I'm so embarrassed because it was clearly just right beside me in bed, right? Which just goes to show.
We know what you was doing before we started. It's okay.
No, it's just there. It's always there in case. It's the temporary dick in the glass case. Just break it out whenever you need to.
Very important. I have a sex box, a sex toy box, and it's going to be upgraded because I actually did an interview this afternoon with a friend of mine, and she works for a sex toy company, and she said she's going to send me stuff. I'm like, yes.
Can you send me stuff too, please? Because I've had a tough week.
Yeah, I'll ask her. One thing that you ladies do on your podcast when you're interviewing people is you ask them what makes them a dope Black woman. So I just thought I'd steal that idea and ask you, what makes you a dope Black woman? Leanne, let's start with you.
We've never had to answer that question. I don't think any of...
No, we did.
Yeah, did we?
On our very first episode.
Oh God, that was like over 150 episodes ago.
Literally.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time now. What makes me a dope Black woman? I think what makes me a dope Black woman is the fact that I try really hard, earnestly, to live by the principles that I advocate for. So Shannon and I always talk about being vulnerable, being authentic, being honest, and that means kind of represent or telling the truth no matter how that makes you look. And sometimes, we do things that we're not particularly proud of, and most people, I think, would try to like shy away from talking about those things, and I try to share those things even more than I share kind of my achievements and celebrating myself. Like I try to talk about the difficult things just to be as authentic as I possibly can. So I think that's what makes me a dope Black woman.
Roshan, what about you?
This sounds like I'm stealing it from Leanne, but I was actually gonna say that I'm a trier. I'm not sure if that's even a word. And for me, it kind of just stemmed from that. I feel like I genuinely, and I haven't always been like this, but I think I generally always try to be the best version of myself that I can through doing like a lot of healing work, through getting like feedback on how I am as a friend, how I am as a sister, or whatever. And I feel like I'm not afraid to kind of share my story and admit when I'm wrong. And I feel like that's sometimes important, especially to like younger generations, to help them to have a safe space to speak about things, and just other people older and younger than you to kind of normalize some of their fears or barriers about their own experiences.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And you know what? A question that's just popped into my head through listening to your answers actually is, have you always felt like a dope black woman? Because now I'm thinking about it, I would say that it's probably only been the last year, maybe year and a half, that I've even like felt like I could say that about myself. So have you guys always felt like you were dope black women, or when did that point come?
Do you know what? Yeah, I've spoken about this in the podcast before. So there's two parts to the answer. The first is I find the phrase "dope black woman" challenging in itself. I spoke to Leanne about this literally just the other day. I was just like, I don't know how I feel about like saying I'm a dope black woman, or like that idea. And I think it comes from the fact that like black women were never really, that's not a position we've had. Like being great or being dope or being amazing, that's not labels we've ever been given from society. So of course it's not going to be natural to us to use those words. It's only now in the last maybe year that being a black woman has been relatively cool. Do you get what I mean? Like we still have, like I think just this week it was announced like Birmingham had their first black MP. There's too many situations where it's the first black. So I feel like that kind of contributes towards it. But I feel like with myself, I find it really hard to attach to labels in general. So I feel like because that's the name of our brand, in reference to that, I suppose it's a continuous journey of, for me anyway, in terms of like whether or not I feel like I'm a dope black woman. And I feel like it's such a personal thing to what is dope to you. Does that make sense?
And I feel like sometimes as well, people feel maybe a bit conscious about calling themselves dope in any way, because it like, especially, I don't know if it's like a UK thing, but we don't like to give ourselves praise, and we don't like to like seem like we're too big-headed. So I think as well that maybe is like a contributing factor. Leanne, what about you?
Well, it's interesting because I think black women in general don't like to give themselves praise. And it's true. Whenever we ask women this on the podcast, they're very like shy about, gassing themselves. And we're like, no, this is, and that's why we ask the question, right? Is because we want to give people that opportunity. But for me, growing up, it's interesting. And I think this is as a result of the fact that I grew up in a majority black country, is that I think, and I grew up in a country, I mean, I grew up in Jamaica where people are always gassing themselves. It's part of our culture to like, to big ourselves up, and we're very patriotic people. So I don't know if I ever felt like a dope black woman, but I always felt like a dope Jamaican. And I was always very proud of my nationality. I was always very proud of who of what I belonged to, not necessarily myself as an individual, but I think I was always proud to be Jamaican, and in that sense, I always felt dope. But I don't know if I ever felt like a dope black woman because I had so many insecurities about how I looked, or whether I was attractive. My skin color was a big thing growing up, because obviously we have an issue around colorism in most countries that exist. So I think as an individual, I didn't feel like a dope black woman, but I always felt like I was part of something that was dope.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it's yeah, I think it's just, I don't know, like as I say, it's just it's a difficult thing to kind of get your head around and kind of like admit to. But yeah, no, I definitely think I'm a dope black woman. I think I'm dope at everything I do. That's what we're going with. That's what I'm sticking
And we
with.
are like, I mean, what makes someone not dope? You know what I mean? Unless they're not being true to themselves, what makes you not a dope black? We're all fucking dope. Like,
Yeah, I feel like unless someone's like homophobic, racist, or anything in that sort of arena, then I feel like it's not down to anyone to critique or define whether or not they could be considered a dope person. People that fit into those sort of isms and schisms are the only people that I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're not a dope person, or like, but that's just fundamental to like, even if you don't use the word dope, like you're just not a nice person. Do you get what I mean? Like, because like discrimination on any grounds is just not cool.
Yeah, and I think it's important. Like, it starts with us. Like, as I said earlier, like, it's not about being like big-headed or anything like that, but it's about, actually, it's okay to be confident in yourself, and it's okay to believe in yourself, and it's actually okay to know that you're a good fucking person. Like, I feel like sometimes that's hard for people to admit, but no, a lot of the time it's okay. Like, it's okay to know that you're a good person, and I feel like once you know that, like, people can't take that away from you.
100%. I definitely agree with that. And I think it's important. Like, how do you motivate yourself to do better unless you think enough of yourself to
Yeah.
grow and to develop? You know what I mean? You have to start with a foundation of feeling good about yourself, or knowing that you have the capacity to be something great.
Yeah. And I think, do you know what? I think for me, one of the reasons that I feel like that, and I'm very like passionate about believing in yourself and knowing that you're a good person, is because I speak about this a lot on my podcast. My listeners will know. I live with depression, and one of the things, like, when I'm in a really bad like state of depression, is that I'm like, oh my god, like, everybody hates me, like, I'm a horrible person. And so I think that's why, like, I try to keep reminding myself, actually, like, no, like, you're not a terrible person. Even little things, like, like, when you have friendship breakups, or you're speaking to a guy and then it doesn't work out, little things like that. And I kind of like internalize them, and I'm like, oh my god, like, see, this is another person that hates me. But now I'm just kind of like, I can't let myself keep that mindset. I need to just like deal with it at the time and let it go, and not internalize it too much.
Yeah, and I think, I don't say I relate to that entirely, but I think something that can kind of help soften those emotions when it comes to friends is actually asking for feedback. So like, when I was younger, I think I maybe would sometimes go through phases where I felt like that towards friendships, or even like, not even to do with depression, I just overthink in general. And like, maybe if my friend didn't talk to me for a certain amount of time, or I wasn't invited to something, I might think, oh, they don't care about you, they don't really like me, or whatever. And I feel like I don't really have, I haven't had that, and I couldn't tell you the last time I kind of experienced that. But I think I don't need, it's impossible for me to experience that now, because I ask for feedback from my friends quite a lot. So I can't possibly think they don't like me, or they have an issue with this, or an issue with that, because in the last 6 months, I've already asked them for feedback on our relationship. So I'm already affirmed about why we're friends in the first place. Do you get what I mean? So that might be something that's worth trying as well to help.
What happens when you don't get feedback though? Like, what happens when somebody just cuts you out of their life altogether? And I can't recall an instance where that's happened, but I certainly have cut people off and just like not given them any reason at all whatsoever. What do you do when you don't have an opportunity to get feedback?
I feel like it depends on whether or not you think because I think, here's the thing, right, with friendships, I feel like sometimes it just comes to an end. Like, you both just stopped putting work in, and you don't need feedback in that situation. And other times there may be a disagreement, or there may have been a situation that arose that is something that requires a conversation around, and it just never happens, therefore you didn't speak. If it's the latter, and it's something that's going to bother your conscience, then I would then ignite a conversation. Whether the conversation is to become friends again, or just to get clarity, or just to get feedback, I would then do that. And I feel like for me and the quality of friendships I had, even if I've stopped talking to someone or any of my friends, I feel like I would still be able to go back to any of them to get that feedback, even if we knew we wasn't going to be friends anymore. But I think for yourself and your own kind of like self-care, you've got to know whether it's worth it. So I'll give you an example. I had a friend I've been friends with for years, and last year, June, she said something to me, and it basically spiraled a long conversation with myself, where I basically decided I didn't really want to be friends with her anymore. Stroke, I have lots of like challenges with our friendship. It just made me think about a lot of things that I was like, wow, I've just ignored this for like 20 years or something ridiculous like that. And I think it put a strain on our relationship, because I'm a very transparent person, and I was ultimately acting different. Like, I feel like, if I'm being honest for how she might have felt, I was acting different. So I wasn't seeing her maybe as much in real life, and I wasn't doing certain things. And I think that put a strain, because she wasn't getting from me what she needed. But ultimately, I wanted to talk to her, but I wasn't in the headspace to talk to her in a way that would have been progressive for our friendship. And there was a day where she basically ignored my messages, that I'd sent her, which was unrelated to like what I wanted to talk about. And since then we haven't spoken. For me, it's kind of like I knew I wanted to talk to her about something, and I now don't have the opportunity. But ultimately, I felt like she didn't really serve a purpose anymore. So I'm not gonna like ignite a conversation for feedback because I don't think she's not someone who I want to serve in the capacity of being a friend. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also feel like the level of closeness that we have, because I go to my friends for feedback and because I do those sort of things, if she wanted to have those conversations, she would have, because that's always been something that's normalized in the friendships that I have.
I guess it's kind of like about picking your battles, isn't it? And kind of, yeah, as you say, like deciding like what is actually like worth certain things. So a battle that I am going to pick with you, Roshan, is this fact. Yeah. Today I chose violence. It's a fact that you said on your podcast that you don't sit on your toilet seat.
Yes.
Now, Roshan, I feel like you need to explain yourself, because even Leanne had questions. Even Leanne was confused. And so I just feel like it's time that you retold that story and share with us why you don't sit on your own toilet seat. Please explain to
I've
us.
now come to the floor. So I, Roshan Roberts, have not sat on a toilet seat since I could remember. Okay. The only time I could tell you that I probably sat on a toilet seat was probably when I was like 2 or 3 years old on my potty. Never have I sat on a toilet seat with any sort of recollection that I can give you. If I go to the toilet in the public space, like to wee, I will hover over the toilet. I would never nothing could bring my body to shit outside of my household. Nothing in the world. And if I need to poo at someone else's house, I will line the seat. If I need to poo in my own house, I will line the seat. And if I wee in my own house, I'll still hover.
Right.
Like them
I'm not sitting on the seat. Okay. I'm so sorry. Do you know how much bacteria is in a bathroom? You see my bathroom, yeah? My bathroom, I live by myself. I have 2 bathrooms. And my bathrooms are clean. If something fell on the floor, not that I would eat it, but if you wanted to eat it, I don't blame you, because it's clean in there. Do you get it? But my bathroom's like the only bathroom that I would probably walk in barefoot, no socks. But I still wouldn't sit on the seat, even though it's just me. And every time I go to the toilet, every time I poo, I bleach the toilet and clean it down. Every single time I poo once a day or once every other day. And still, I'm not sitting on that seat. Okay? Right. Bathrooms are nasty.
Okay, fine. Leanne, this is your friend. Would you like to defend her, or are you on my side?
I mean, I think it's quite normal to not sit on a public toilet seat, right? But your own bathroom, and I actually only know one other person who does this, who doesn't sit on their own toilet seat, or who will line it. So they line their toilet seat. They're a man, so they stand up when they pee. But I'm gonna let her do her. I mean, it's her choice, it's her life. As long as she feels comfortable, I just want her to feel comfortable taking a pee or taking a shit in her own bathroom.
It's also warmer, It's actually warmer on the seats.
Okay, it sounds like
it's also a waste of toilet paper.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to buy the most expensive one. It's not always Durex, Andex, whatever they call it, with the doggy on the front.
No, Durex are condoms, babes. Okay, so you're lining your toilet with condoms. Okay, Roshan, you see what you're doing here.
It's been a while, darling.
Okay. Okay, Roshan, so at the end of this episode, you guys will see that I've got you a little gift, right? But now I regret the gift I got you, and I feel like I should have gone to Costco and got you a big massive pack of toilet roll, seeing as though you use it so much. I actually feel like I might, next time I go to Costco, I'm gonna buy you some toilet roll.
Actually, notoriously, anyone I've lived with, they hate my mum. If I was to go to stay at my mum's house for a week, she would tell me, bring toilet roll.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, it's actually a thing in the family. Like, I stayed at my nan's for a bit and I stayed at my aunt's for a bit before moving out by myself. And at both places, they were like, you need to buy more toilet roll. even though I like contributed to rent, they're like, you still need to buy toilet roll because
Yeah,
they're
'cause
like, it's
you have to
excessive.
go through like a roll of every couple of days or something like that between wiping and actually lining the toilet seat.
But if it's just you, yeah, it's just your cheeks on the toilet seat. So
Can I
I
tell
don't
you,
get it.
when I moved here, the toilet was brand new, and the first thing I did was still line it.
It's habit. It's just
Like
habit.
I can't get out of this. It's like I'm too far gone. I'm 25. I'm too far.
I feel like we need to unpack this more. I feel like there's something that's happened here because you know what? My mum, like, she always told me like to hover in a public toilet. Yeah, I totally get that. Public toilet nasty, but at home,
Do you know what it is? I think, yeah, my mum is the person to blame because my mum's quite a scornful person in that, like, my mum wouldn't share. My mum's got 2 adult kids, so me and my brother who's 19. She wouldn't share drinks with us. So I feel like, I don't know whether she sits on her seat or not at home. I've never asked her, to be honest. But like, if she doesn't, it wouldn't surprise me because that is just how she is.
Okay, so we're blaming your mum now.
Yeah, we are.
Mommy
Fine.
issues.
When in doubt, blame your mum.
Absolutely.
Ladies, tell me a little bit more about the Dope Black Women podcast and what prompted you to start it.
I feel like Shan tells this story really well of like how we met. So go for it, Shan.
I feel like I've been talking there. But okay, so me and Leanne were nothing but strangers. And one day in June, we was added to a group chat with 60 women, and someone that we knew added Leanne, but I didn't know it was her, so it was +44 on my phone. And then added me, which would have been +44 on Leanne's phone, and said, "Hi, you two are running this," and then the person exited the chat.
Oh wow.
And the Leanne became, from +44, she became Leanne, and then now she's like the best big sister I could have asked for, and we now have Dope Black Women.
Yeah, it's kind of mad, like.
Yeah, it's very, very random, but I guess what's really powerful about the way we met is that like Dope Black Women is all about creating a digital sisterhood, and a lot of people through the platform, through the WhatsApp groups, have created a lot of relationships, had created a lot of partnerships that they meet up with, like, what I would say strangers, and form friendships. And it's just a testament that you can really just make friends with anyone. Because I wouldn't have met Leanne outside of this scenario, and now we're like so close. And like, not to go deep now, but there's been times where I've spoken to Leanne and been crying and been like, I feel like we was meant to meet because this happened and then this happened and do you get what I mean? I feel like it's bigger. Sometimes I think things are bigger than you. I definitely feel like me and Leanne meeting was like that.
Yeah, no, I think the randomness with which we met is very much the precedent which has been set for the group. Like, we met very organically, very randomly, and we just hit it off. We didn't have to, but we just hit it off and we got along really well. And from that, obviously, the podcast developed. And no, it's really nice to see that reflected in the group, where we have women all over the world meeting each other, and we bring our friends into the group and they make friends with women that they've never met, and they have their own meetups in addition to the meetups that we have. We have events where women, you know, literally share so honestly and just share their deepest kind of issues, and other women reach out to them and support them. And it's all upon the basis of the fact that, one, we're a part of this group, but more importantly, that we're all Black women that share some sort of connection simply on that basis. So it's just a beautiful thing to watch, actually. Every day when I see women, even today, it was International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day, Joy.
Thank you.
But yeah, even today, everybody was just sharing like words of affirmations with each other, saying, you know, big up to the queens in this group. So grateful for everybody. So many women now work together or develop partnerships. So many women have had growth. So many women are going to therapy now, but just because we talk about it in the group and share honestly about our own journeys with therapy. So it's just a really nice and beautiful thing to see.
And I think, do you know what? It's funny you say that, because everyone has been like being very like positive about International Women's Day, except on Clubhouse. I don't know if you ladies use Clubhouse, but oh my God, I was on there for 5 minutes today and I said, no, let me come off. It's too much negativity. But so Dope Black Women, it's more than just a podcast. So I know that there's a WhatsApp group. I joined it for a little while, but there was a lot of messages and I think, I don't know, I think I stopped. But there's Instagram. Tell people how they can kind of, and I think that's what's good about it, is that it's not just the podcast. Yes, they can listen to you guys talking, listen to some of the takeovers and things like that, but you can actually be interactive. And I think that's what's a good thing about it, is that sometimes we hear people speak or we see people that we're like, oh, that person seems quite cool, but we never get a chance to actually speak to them. So talk to me a little bit about the other platforms, the WhatsApp group, the Instagram, and how people can connect.
Well, we have the podcast that comes out every Thursday, and like you said, we try to take it from different aspects. So I cover the kind of Caribbean American perspective. Shan covers all things mental health and well-being, and then we have the takeovers as well. So we invite people from have podcasts from all over the world, both men and women actually, to do takeovers for us. We have the WhatsApp group, which covers again globally. We have women in America, we have women in South Africa, we have women in Turkey. I think we have about over 300 women across both WhatsApp groups connecting. And then we have Instagram, which is Dope Black Woman 1. We have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, we have Twitter. That's all Dope Black Woman. And then we have our events. So during COVID, obviously, we're doing most of our events online, but we've had a few in-person events too. Usually networking. We have things around financial literacy workshops that we have coming up. We have sexual health and well-being nights. We have girly sleepovers. We have lunch and learns. We have a bunch of different events that we're doing. I think we're going to do some speed dating coming up soon.
I'm there.
We're having a meetup at a theater, at a play this weekend. So all of the Dope Black women are coming to support another Dope Black woman who's putting on her show this weekend. So yeah, we have a bunch of different events that are going on throughout the course of this year as well.
You'll definitely be seeing me at the speed dating 125%.
Yep. Got to do it.
So that sounds like a lot. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like a lot. How are you two, like, how are you coping? Like, are you okay? Like, how are you dealing with that? Because me, I can't even cope with this one small podcast. And do you mind telling me a little bit about what you do outside of Dope Black Women? So I know you both have jobs. Talk to me a bit about that. How do you kind of juggle work life and then the podcast life and running the groups?
Well, like, firstly, you can't say you're a small little podcast. You can't do that. That's not something we're going to tolerate here. First and foremost, I hate when people do that to like other people's products. Like, how's your little radio show? Like, shut up. But you definitely can't do that to yourself. So that's the first thing I'd like to do. Okay. Second thing, I feel like with Dope Black, I feel like me and Leanne, for a long time have just tried to juggle things ourselves, and we've kind of realized as we've gone along, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't work. There's definitely strong pros to doing it ourselves, and there's also a lot of cons, and ultimately we want to create a community that connects with lots of Black women, so growing our team is really beneficial to the end goal. And now we are growing a team, so we've got like someone called Roper on, who's been on nearly since the beginning, and she's basically like a core person of the team. Like, the team without Roper wouldn't even be the team. And then we've also now recruited some other people as well who are working in, like, who's heading up. We've got someone called Tashoy who's heading up the events. Who's going to be heading up the events now. And we've got someone called Faustine who's joining Tashoy to help with events. So that's the team right now. How many? 1, 2, 3. So the team has now recently grown to 5, but for a long time it was just 3. And I guess now to kind of be able to balance our work life versus our Dope Black Woman life better in a more healthy and sustainable way, we're just trying to like dedicate tasks accordingly to what people actually want to do. That also benefits them as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think we try to keep it as organic as possible. So one of the really great things about Ropa in particular is that we kind of just organically met her. Tashoy, Faustine, they naturally came on board. We didn't do any real kind of recruitment. So it's women that genuinely want to be a part of the space, want to contribute it. They appreciate what we're doing and they want to see it grow. And so it's we've kind of turned into a little family, which is really nice actually. So no
Yeah.
one's been like, no one feels like they're working. You know, everybody does what they can and they contribute what they can, and we all benefit from it in some way. So yeah, it's actually nice in that sense.
No, that sounds great. So, ladies, it wouldn't be Joy's World if we didn't talk a bit about sex and relationships. Some of us are struggling out here. I have been keeping my listeners up to date because I got the Marina coil fitted in November last year, and I have been bleeding like a bitch, and it's
No.
so my sex life has gone really downhill because I haven't found a man that's mature enough to deal with a little bit of blood. Do you know what I mean? So talk to me a bit about your love lives. Are you guys in relationships? Are you looking? What's the deal? What's the gossip?
Shan, you want to go first?
I feel like for me,
Roshan, why are you laughing? I feel like there's a story here. Why are
because
you
it's
laughing?
like, well, where do I start? What bit do I avoid talking about?
Are you single or are you taken?
So I'm definitely single. I was in a relationship this time last year. I was cheated on. I left.
Did
Since
you
then,
cut?
I've been healing, I would say, from that in a non-bitter way. I don't resent that person at all, actually. And then I tried to have a taste of the casual world. Lasted about 3 months. Doesn't work for me at all. And now I'm back to just being single and by myself. And I feel like I'm meant to be in a season of singleness. Like I feel like this is a season where I need to just be by myself. And I think it's important sometimes as women and men or non-binary or whoever, just as individuals, to like listen to ourselves and know what season we're meant to actually be in. Because sometimes you want companionship, but that's not actually conducive to what you're trying to do.
Right, but can you not be single, but like, does your vagina not get lonely?
Do you know what? I do hear that, but because I've practiced abstinence before, I don't think it gets lonely in the same way it would for somebody else. So it might get and also because of Leanne got, that sounds very bad, but let me finish the sentence. So basically, before I started Dope Black Women, I wasn't really someone who like explored my own body. But like speaking like to Leanne and like other women and stuff, that's something I've kind of like started to do. So I've now got a toy. Leanne's also bought me a toy. And I feel like if I've got an itch to scratch, then I'm gonna scratch that itch, baby. But yeah, I don't think anything's wrong with not doing that. I don't think anything's wrong with being casual or anything like that. I just definitely have the clarity I need that it's not for me.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny you say that because I don't think there's anything wrong with not having sex either. I just personally can't do it. Like I get frustrated. Like when I say I get frustrated, like I'm just like I can't cope. It's been a week, and I'm like,
I was gonna say, what's the longest that you've been without it?
Honestly, I think the longest I've been is 3 weeks.
Really? But do you know what? I think, yeah, because for example, yeah, you know, you talk about intimacy. For some people, sex is a form of intimacy, yeah? And for some people, sex is intimacy. Do you get what I mean? So for me, sex is a form of intimacy. So what I crave is not sex. I crave intimacy. And there's ways that I can feel intimate without having sex.
True.
But for some people, intimacy is sex. So do you get what I mean?
Yeah. So
it's not that I don't crave that. It's just that what I'm craving is intimacy. So I can get that in other ways. Whereas some people, they're craving intimacy, but for them, intimacy and sex are the same thing.
No, I hear that. Leanne, what's your love life saying?
So my love life is a little bit complicated. I left someone behind in another country. But even prior to that, actually, even when I was in Jamaica, I wasn't necessarily having sex because I had endometriosis, which if you listen to the podcast, you will hear about. And so between the pain and the bloating and not feeling great about my body, I just wasn't in that space where I wanted to have sex. And I think now that I've gone so long without it, because I've been dealing with this since God last year, like July, August.
Yeah.
Um, and I've had sex maybe very sparingly since then, maybe once or twice. Um, I also, like Shan, no, I'm not really craving sex. What I'm craving is intimacy, because that's what has been fueling me over the past couple of months, right? So I want someone to like cuddle with, and I want like a snuggle buddy, for lack of a better word. It would be really ideal if someone were to come over at like 11 o'clock, snuggle with me until like maybe 4:30, and then leave before I woke up. And so I won't even have to see them. That is actually what I'm craving right now. But
You know
yeah,
how much I love hugging?
yeah, me too.
Can I just
Yeah,
say something quickly,
yeah,
yeah?
like-
Because this is something that you might not even know from the podcast, Joy, but something that I speak about a lot, particularly at the start of the podcast, was how much I love kissing, yeah?
Yes.
Because I actually think I'm the world's greatest kisser. Like, I don't think there's anyone better than me. And if someone thinks that they could compete with me, then I'm definitely top two. Like, it's impossible I'm not top two.
What, are you up for that challenge? Is that what you're saying?
I was
You're
gonna
I'll,
say,
listen,
now,
I'll
go to
lips
the
whoever I need
test.
to lips to prove my point, because I just know that there's when it comes to kissing, baby.
No, but can we talk about bad kisses? Because I'm not gonna lie, a few weeks ago I had an experience, and I was like,
Why was
I
it
felt
bad?
I couldn't breathe. Like he was like I don't like it was like he was blocking my nostrils as well as my mouth. I was like, what is going on? Why are you being so aggressive? Like, relax.
That would turn me off like immediately.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can't stand it when somebody's tongue is just like flailing all over the place. Like, can you have some control? And like, yeah, you need to.
And
Yeah,
I think as well, tonguing only bangs if you can lips good.
very
If
true.
you can't lips good, then your tongue is just whacking my tooth. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's just not.
Yeah.
There needs to be a root. There needs to be a rhythm. Like, there needs to be a pattern going on. You need to be
Yes,
able to tick,
yes.
tick. Do you know what I mean?
100%, 100%.
But I love cuddling now. I think I love cuddling more than I love kissing. That's what I was gonna say. And that's
Yeah,
a
but
big deal.
cuddling then like makes me want them to stick their dick in.
100%.
Like,
Yeah, but
So, like,
part of it is also about the tension. You know what I mean? Just the tension
the
that's there from the
tension.
cuddling. And you don't even want to like get rid of the tension by taking the next step to having sex. Sometimes you just want to like feel that tension. But yeah, I agree. It's hard not to follow through.
no, I hear what you're saying. That tension is good. Like, I feel like it's the build up and it's like, it's really nice. But Roshan, what are you going to do now if you get people DMing you being like, so you want a lip sync challenge? Like, what are you going to do here?
Then I'm on it. We'll set one up. We'll be the Joy's World podcast, Time the Dope Black Women podcast. Let's go. But
So,
you better
guys,
know where to put your money at.
If you want a lips Roshan, just message us and we'll sort it out, basically. That's what's going on. So, Leanne, so you mentioned that you go back and forth from London to Jamaica.
I do.
I am okay. I'm always telling people that I'm looking for a yardie. So don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. But I want to go to Jamaica, and people are telling me to go to Negril, but I want to go to Portmore just because. Wait, is Portmore even in Negril? I don't even know, right? But you know that song. I'm from Portmore, that's in JA. We can't we're on that's do it on the beach. Do you know what I mean? So do you recommend this?
So I definitely, and this is gonna be super judgmental. I would recommend neither of those places.
Really?
Yeah, so Negril is beautiful. Like it's my favorite, one of my favorite parts of Jamaica. So if you're going there for a holiday, yes, go to Negril because it has beautiful beaches. But this is almost exclusively where old white women go and pick up young black men, young Jamaican men with dreads for who are looking for their visas. So
End up on 90 Day Fiance.
and end up on 90 Day Fiance. It is not the place to go if you're actually looking for a man who you could potentially settle down with. If you're looking for a fling, go to Negril, 100%. Portmore, on the other hand, is for the record, geographical location. Portmore is closer to Kingston.
Okay.
And it is often it often has a lot of mosquitoes.
Oh, okay.
And it's very like it's very populated. It's a very dense part of Kingston, but it has a nice beach. It has great food. Hellshire is in Portmore. And so if you want to get some nice fried fish and festival, go there. Not sure about the men. Can't say I've ever dated a man from Portmore. Um, but Kingston is where, I mean, Kingston, Mandeville, Portland. If you're looking for a good man, yeah, I would focus on those parishes. Jamaican men are tricky. I don't know. They're very charming. They make you feel so good about yourself. Like you think you're the prettiest woman alive on the face of the planet. Um, but you know, they make everybody feel that way.
Mhm.
And that's the problem. You're not the only one. And this is obviously a huge generalization. And for all that I'm saying, I've pretty much only ever dated Jamaican men, some of whom have been very faithful, but the vast majority have cheated on me. And I'm guilty of that too. Like I'm as a Jamaican woman cheat too. Like don't make them fool you. Um, because the culture is very much, it lends itself to uh not being monogamous, and that's just the truth of it. The ratio of men to women is massive, so there are so many more women than men. So
Right.
so many women are willing to share. I
I
think
think I'll fit right in.
if you're willing to share,
Are you willing
go
to
right
share,
ahead.
Joy?
I think I'll fit right in. Do you know what? You know, Leanne, I've heard that, like, so my friend, like, she's blind and her family's from Jamaica and they went on holiday, I think it was about 2 years ago. And she said that Jamaicans are very direct. So they will literally be to her like, hey, blind girl, come here. Like,
Yeah.
and so all I've got to say is if you see a headline that says blind girl gone wild, you know it's about me. That's all I'm going to say. I go to Jamaica, if the rum hits me, and I even smell a man, it's over. It's
And
over.
believe me, there will be many there ready and waiting for you to smell them and to do lots more. Like they're not playing. They will
I'll,
let you know
their arms.
exactly
I'll say I
what
didn't see where I was going. Do you know what I mean?
you
I'll
just
fall on
fell
top of
and
them.
slipped on a dick.
Mm-hmm. That's my excuse, and that's what I'm gonna stick with.
Mhm.
100.
Jamaican men are great. I can't live without them, but I can't live with them either. Like they're an anomaly all to themselves.
Yeah, problematic, but I think I like problematic. I was saying this earlier. I think I like toxic men.
I
Allegedly.
mean, here's the thing, right? There's a certain thing about if you are a nice guy, and I hate to say this is horrible, but it's very hard to find a nice guy who's also like interesting and dynamic
Yeah.
and makes you and is fun and spontaneous
Yeah.
and
Especially
and
if it's a
doesn't play
genuinely nice guy as well. Because some men, you think they're nice men, but they're not. They're just playing the game. Like you think they're
exactly.
nice men, but they're not. They're just good at hiding the fact that they will be manipulative or emotionally abusive. Because I prefer guys that are dickheads and they're just actually dickheads. They know they're dickhead and they show up like a dickhead because at least when you're talking to them, you know that's what you're getting. Whereas the scary ones, the ones that you think are nice, but they are undercover dickheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I always say this to my girlfriends, and I think it's true of many of the black women that like I hang out with, is that we're not necessarily like nice women. We're also like dynamic and interesting and spontaneous, and sometimes that comes with like not such great qualities. Like I have
Mm-hmm.
Roshan and I have grit. Roshan will keep it real. Sometimes she says things that are so abrupt and so and some people will take offense to it. Similarly, I'm very honest and upfront, and some people think that makes me an asshole, right? But it also makes for a very interesting conversation. It also means that I'm probably willing to take risks. And so there's a certain combination of personalities that go hand in hand. And sometimes it just doesn't, people are right. Sometimes it doesn't pay to be nice.
I guess it's subjective, isn't it? What I might say is a good guy that's boring to someone else is someone who's safe and secure.
Mm.
Yeah.
In the same way that like a million percent people would say that I'm abrupt, and like, not me. Okay, actually, I don't think I'd say a lot of people say I'm abrupt. They'll say I'm direct, but I also feel like, for me, I actually go for people that are like that because I really need, like, absolutely need transparency. Do you get what I mean? But for somebody else, they might not want someone like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I don't thrive well in relationships where I have to guess all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely dated a typical nice guy, um, very secure in the same stable job for like 10 years. Was, but he was boring and just nice, treated me so well, but just boring as fuck. Like,
Yeah.
and so we ended up breaking up because I just lost interest. But I do
Yeah.
think that there's a combination of finding somebody who is honest, reliable, and still dynamic and spontaneous and fun and interesting and passionate. I think passionate is really the word that I'm looking for. Like, I want somebody who is driven by something, whether they're creative or whether they're passionate about politics or whether they're
Yeah.
passionate about music. I want somebody who is impassioned by something, and you can see that coming out of their pores.
Yeah. No, I feel like I am at a point where I kind of like, I wanted a relationship. I wanted to find a good guy. I wanted to find like my future husband. But now I'm just like, do you know what? Actually, no, let me just enjoy being a hoe for a little while. So I need to go to bed very soon, basically. Ladies, what does the future hold for you? What do you guys want to do with Dope Black Women, but also just with your, with yourselves, with your own lives? Talk to me a little bit about that. Roshan, you can go first.
I think with myself, I just want to continue to grow into the version of myself that I have in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Something I fear a lot is death. And I know it's like the one thing we can't control, but I fear this sort of idea or conversation that I could potentially have with myself where I wish I did this or I wish I did that. And I guess my way to combat that is to continue to step out of my comfort zone. So I would say my future is just about continuously stepping out of my comfort zone so that I can be proud of the journey that I've been on. Even if that consists of lots of failures, that's something that I'm trying to not let me hinder my growth, or I'm trying to not let me like stop me from doing things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What about you, Leanne?
I think for me, what do I want for myself? I think, I'm really enjoying how things are going now at the moment, and I'm kind of trying to embrace that while planning ahead. So I'm loving where my career is going, and I want to keep doing that. I want to build a life where I'm going back and forth between Jamaica and England, because I've realized that home can be more than one place, and it's usually where the people that you love are, not necessarily a geographical location.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready to, like, actually, and I've never said this out loud before, but I'm ready to, like, settle down, have kids, get married, do all that, like, normal shit. So yeah, I hope within the next couple of years that's the trajectory that I go for. And then obviously Dope Black Woman is a huge part of that, just continuing. I think something that's consistent throughout both of Shan and mine's career is our passion for supporting Black women. So regardless of what area we're working in, whether it's podcasting for Roshan or whether it's advocacy and communications for me and policy, my focus is always on Black women. And so whatever I do moving forward, whether it's continuing with Dope Black Women, which obviously is always going to be a part of our lives, or um, anything that I do, it's going to be just kind of trying to empower Black women. So I love what I'm doing now, and I just want to do more of it as much as I can.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, and this is why, like, I always ask people that question, like, what does the future hold for you? Because you know what, I feel like it's important to kind of remind ourselves, like, what we're working towards, but also I'm a big believer in appreciating what we've got now and what we're doing now. I feel like it's all steps to get there, if that makes sense. I
Yeah.
think it's nice to just say it out loud and just be honest and be proud of what you want to happen in your future, but also be proud of what you're doing now, because what you guys are doing is definitely like having an impact and having a platform where Black women can feel safe and meet others. I think is like, it's not something to take for granted. And I think that like growing up, I didn't have any kind of platform like that. So I think that it's really good. And I think what's good as well is that it's for all ages as well. Like you can be a young Black woman, you can be an older Black woman, like, and I think that's important. People can connect, and I used to found your friendship, and so many other people can do that. So I think you guys always need to like give yourself props, because it's definitely important, and we need it, you know, like we need a good community around us. It's not something to be taken for granted. Ladies, we are nearly coming to the end. I feel like I could talk to you guys for ages, to be fair. But my last question, and this is a very hard-hitting one, so please brace yourselves.
Yes,
so on your podcast, you have people doing takeovers. You've had some of my faves, Tutu's podcast, love them. Shout out to Nan and Rose. But
oh no,
what has been, or should I say, who has been your favourite takeover? Take your time to think about this. Take your time.
No time needed. Obviously, Joy's World podcast. I mean, that wasn't even something we needed to think about. But actually, all jokes aside, when Shan and I got the recording, Shan said to me, "You need to listen to this podcast. She's so funny. She's freaking hilarious. We need to just like big up this podcast as much as possible." And it's true. You are so funny. You're so engaging. So you are genuinely one of our favorite takeovers.
100%.
Thank you. And that's
not even lying either. Like that's a genuine thing. I don't think I really have a favorite, but out of the ones that we've had, yours is probably the only one that I've gone out of my way to message Leanne and say you need to listen to it. So I guess
it's actually the only one.
I've never said that so far.
I think it's really
what I appreciate about all of them is that it's always a different perspective that I probably would have brought to the podcast or that I would have heard, and I think it just helps to continue to understand the rest of like the diaspora.
And that's the thing, I think it's a really nice idea actually, like doing the takeovers, because you're giving other podcasts a chance, you know, on your platform, and as you say, like you're getting a different perspective. So I think it's a really good idea. I was really happy to do it, and it was really fun. Now, ladies, everyone that comes on my podcast, I like to get them a little something just to say thank you for your time. So bear with me, I'm having a blind moment. I have to check I'm showing like the right one, because that'll be hella awkward. I think what you're doing is amazing. And I think it should be headline news, really. I think you should be in the papers. I think you should be in the magazines, ladies. So, Leanne, this is yours.
Oh my goodness, that's so adorable.
So
You're so cute, Joy.
There is a message inside as well, but I'll let you read that privately. Roshan, this is yours, my love.
Oh my goodness.
That is so cute.
You are the most adorable. Thank you so much.
Put that in my house. That is so beautiful.
I hope you like it. I pre-read your Instagrams. I took screenshots. I did the damn thing.
You never get presents. It's so cute. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. Before you go, please let everyone know where they can find you. Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp. Just shout that out again.
On Instagram, we are Dope Black Woman 1. On Facebook and Twitter, we're Dope Black Woman. But of course, if you ever want to get in touch, you can also email us at info@dopeblackwoman.org.
Awesome, thank you. And I would just say as well to my listeners, like, don't be scared. Like, if you are a Black woman and you're listening to this and you're like, do you know what, I would really like to meet other Black women, don't be scared. I feel like sometimes people are kind of scared to join new things or like be a part of something, but I would say, like, since I've known about you guys, like, I've always felt welcome. I have met other people from there as well, and I think, yeah, like, just don't be scared. Just like, literally, it is like a big family. Thank you so much for coming on. Listeners, remember to follow your dreams and follow me on Instagram at Joy's World, the podcast. Follow me on Twitter at joyxoxo. Email me if you're a hot guy or a hot girl or a Jamaican. joyspodcast@hotmail.com. Remember to stay happy and live your best life always.